The last 6 months have been incredibly difficult. The first few months, our business was down 50%.
Ruth Clausen has been making cheese in Stratford, Ontario for more than 15 years. She says her business would have gone broke if the government hadn't helped her with the pandemic. And she's not out of the woods yet.
What I'd like to hear in the speech from the throne is that there's continued support for small business in Canada, because if it goes away, I don't know what the winter will look like for us. I mean, if we lose a business, then I'm sleeping on one of my kids' couches, and that would make me sad. It would disappoint me.
From my perspective as a university student, I'm concerned about my future, right? And so are my peers.
Zach Ramtula has been a member of the Conservative Party since he was 14 years old. He's now in his second year at the University of Toronto, where he's taking political science.
If I could say something to the government, I would be like, hey, a lot of students right now are really anxious, given the state of the economy, given the fact that we're in a global pandemic. We need reassurance, right, that, we're going to have jobs when we graduate and that we're going to be given, the same opportunity that our parents were.
What's something that you really don't want to hear in the throne speech?
That this deficit be increased by another $100 or $200 billion. That's ridiculous.
So my name is Rosemary Barton, and I'm 34 years old, and I'm a grocery store worker.
Grocery store workers were deemed essential during the pandemic, and Rochev wants the government to remind people that he's still out there risking his life.
It's almost like people has kind of sort of forgotten about us. People have stopped saying, thank you guys for being here and keeping the country going. So we don't feel really essential right now.
What do you want the government to do?
If the federal government really thinks that we're essential workers and that we're heroes, then they should step up to the plate and stop sending the issues down provincially and actually take it upon themselves and implement paid sick days and implement pandemic pay for all workers, all essential workers, not in the province, but in the country.
Frankly, nothing worries me about this coming speech from the throne and budget more than the idea that we're going to embark upon a massive, unanchored spending scenario.
As a mortgage broker, Ron Butler worries the Canadian government is taking on a mortgage the country can't afford.
The experiment of blowing through $350 billion, it hasn't been done before. I don't think 38 million Canadians want to come out the other end in 2 or 3 years of massive deficits, finding out that, it really didn't work. We have a whole new series of problems.
Ron thinks the deficit could mean high inflation or the devaluation of the loonie. Still, COVID has taught him one thing he really thinks the government should spend money on.
Subsidized daycare. No matter how you slice it, the reality is that women are the primary caregivers of children in this country. So a program to do with universal subsidized daycare in Canada would have to be a benefit.
So maybe it is true that from crisis comes opportunity. That's certainly what Ruth believes.
The speech from the throne is an incredible opportunity for the government to maybe look outside of the box, of the traditional box, where we have based our whole economy on our GDP and growth and producing more stuff, and maybe look at a different economic model that's based more on needing less stuff, paying more for other people's work and our own work, and just living a simpler life.
When you speak, I get hope, but there's also a sense of worry that I see in you.
Oh, yeah.
What is it? What worries you?
I think the way we have chosen to live as a species has been short-sighted. I think we have asked too much of this planet, and it can't sustain itself. I don't think we have been good stewards. I think we've been selfish. And I would like some of that to stop.
It would be impossible for the speech from the throne to please everyone, but the least the government could do is listen. Nick Purdon, CBC News, Toronto.